Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's that phrase, the high places, or high place, or high places. Now, I like this. It's in the Bible 120 times. 12 is, and I'm sort of changing my view of that number. I had it as God's promise, which is still valid. God's promise is in the form of New Jerusalem with its 12 gates, 12 foundation stones with the 12 apostles' name written on them. The 12 gates have the 12 tribes' names written on them. And so anyway, I think that's still valid. But I'm also thinking of it in the realm of it being related to heavenly places. Okay? It's because of New Jerusalem and the 12 gates and the 12 foundation stones. Remember the woman in Revelation 12, she had a crown of 12 stars. She had the moon under her feet. She had the sun clothing her and so on. So she had all these heavenly symbols on her. And that number 12, I think, was part of that. When the Israelites were camped out in the wilderness, they always had to camp out in the exact same way. The tabernacle was always in the middle. It had to be always in the middle. This is a law that God gave. And then you had the camp divided up by tribes. You had Judah always to the east, and Dan was always at the north. And whenever they left, Judah always led everybody, and Dan had to take up the rear. Which means that Dan and his tribe had to walk through the horse and cow manure that all of the other tribes dumped on the road and made them last. That was one thing when I was in marching band in high school, was our band director always tried to get us at the front of the parade instead of the back of the parade. Because then you got to watch out. My dad called them road apples. You got to watch out for road apples, okay? So anyway, with the 12 tribes placed that way, it's exactly the way Psalm 19 said. It makes the heavens as a tabernacle. And here's the tabernacle of God, and it's surrounded by these 12 constellations. Because God said He would make the Israelites as the stars of heaven. There it is. And so when I look at the camp of Israelites and I see those 12 tribes there, I see the 12 constellations, I see the 12 months of the year, and to me that means something. That tells me what it means. All right? When it comes to these high places, let's not limit them to just earthly high places. And I'll show you something tonight as we move along. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I pray that you'd bless tonight. Bless the words that, Lord, give me the words that you would have me to say. And God, just close my mouth and don't let it come out of things, God, that you don't want me to say. This mouth is yours. My mind is yours. My heart is yours. This service is yours. And let it be all about you and your word, and we'll give you the praise and the glory in Jesus' name, and amen. So, spiritual wickedness in high places, meaning that spirits are not necessarily limited to places here on this earth. And I don't remember if I've asked this question before, but I will ask you here, and I will ask you online. And if you folks online, if you know my cell phone, I want to hear your answer, okay? Do you think it's possible, because we know that spirits inhabit the earth. They live here. Do you think it's possible that spirits, I would say evil spirits, could inhabit other heavenly places, other heavenly habitations. Jaden's giving me the okie dokie. He's up there going, he believes it. Okay? So anyway, like I say, if you know my number, and send me a little message, and I'll. But there's about a minute delay on sermon audio. So actually, we could all get up and go get a drink of water, and then come back, and then they'll be dinging in. All right. First of all, let me do this. We started on this last Sunday night, but just very quickly, Leviticus 26. God said, "I will destroy your high places and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols, so shall my soul abhor you." So we know that the high places had to do with, number one, sacrifice. They sacrificed on top of these high places. Remember what I said last Sunday about how Jesus meeting us in the air, we're going to rise up, He's going to come down, we're going to be there. Think of the high places as being the devil's version of that. Men going up. Oh, by the way, who watched the video that I told you to watch? Meet me halfway. Did you see what I'm seeing in there? He's the space guy, he's up in the heavens. She's the earth woman, she's Gaia, or Mystery Babylon, the harlot. And they both meet each other halfway. He comes down, she goes up, and now they're together like iron and clay. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's what these high places are, based upon Genesis 11 and the Tower of Babel and what they said it was for, a city and tower whose top may reach into heaven. And by the way, we actually have that right now. We have that very thing. But it's not in the form of a ziggurat or a step pyramid. It's the International Space Station. It is a city and a tower in heaven. Okay? It is. And now we're, with Musk and everybody, there's, renewed interest in going up into space. And so they're planning on and actually building the modules for a permanent lunar place. A building and a base on the moon that astronauts would live on. That's why they're trying to find a place with water. Because if they can get water on the moon and use that water, then they can convert it. Number one, they can purify it and drink it. Number two, they can extract the oxygen out of it to breathe. Number three, they can extract the hydrogen out of it for fuel. Okay? So here we go. Told you. A minute. Jeremy Grogan says yes. Yep. All right. That's one. All right. So, Jeff White. Yes, sir. The Bible references celestial bodies and other worlds. It sure does. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. My wife says, microphone. Let's see here. Janice and Terry Janae, they're sweet people. They follow us. They said microphone. So anyway, we'll see what else comes in. All right, so we know, again, Leviticus, it's related to images, idols, and human sacrifices. Okay? And then Numbers 21, 28, there's a fire gone out of Heshbon. That's interesting. I just caught that. And I've been looking for that. There is a fire gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It hath consumed Ar of Moab. He was a pirate. and the lords of the high places of Arnon. Now, the word pyramid, it's a combination word. Pyre means fire. Amid, it means a fire in the midst, or let's say a fire, you can think of it two ways. A fire in the heart of the earth, which we know that's true. A fire in the midst of us, humans. Okay? A burning fire. There is going to be an event that involves fire in the last days. 1 Peter, that's what it was all about. Every chapter was about the fiery trial which is to try us all. And I think that fire comes in the form of angelic creatures, fiery creatures. It's interesting that Ezekiel describes some of what he saw in Ezekiel 1 as like fire. He also described it that way. Where else? I just read this the other night. But anyway, fire basically is light. If you see, I watched some very, very interesting and very clear UFO videos this afternoon. And one of them was just lit up like a Christmas tree. But that's what fire is. Fire is light and it's energy. And there's a theory about how some of these craft work is that they are manufacturing gravity, which to us is impossible, but they're manufacturing gravity, and when they initiate that on their ships, they naturally glow because of some kind of energy that they're using to generate that. And here's what's interesting to me about these UFOs. It seems to us that they do operate on the premise that they create a gravity field in the direction they want to go. So if you have this flying UFO thing, okay? It kind of looks like some of these. But anyway, let's say that this UFO wanted to go in this direction. It would turn and create a gravity field in front of it. When you have gravity, what does the gravity do to an object? Okay? So what is this object doing? What's it doing, John? It's falling. That's what they do. That's how they operate. Is that in order to get from one place to another, they literally fall into it because they're creating a gravity field in front of it to cause it to fall into that. Huh? No, not a black hole. Just a gravity field in front of it. Okay? And we don't, like I say, we don't know how to do that. We don't even know what gravity is. We know what it does and so on. But anyway, I got to move on. Okay? In number, like I say, number 21, he mentioned the fire and the flame of Sion. It consumed Ar and the lords of the high places. So the lords of the high places are these gods that are honored and worshipped on these high places. Numbers 22, it came to pass on the morrow that Balak took Balaam and brought him up into the high places of Baal, that thence he might see the uttermost or the utmost part of the people. Notice this is the high places of Baal. Baal was honored by sacrifices, probably some of them human sacrifices, in the high places of Baal. Or in other words, either a mountain or a hill or something artificially made to be a high place. God said in Numbers 33 that He would, in verse 52, He would destroy all their pictures their images, and destroy all their molten images, and quite pluck down all their high places. God hated them, and it's because He knew what happened there. He knew what kind of spiritual depravity happened up there. And just very quickly, I will say that number one, there was adulterous depravities done on top of these things, and then human sacrifices, probably one after the other, of people up there on top of these high places. And I read some of the things that Columbus encountered, and Cortez, when they came over to this new world. And I think it was Cortez, I think it was his note keeper, who was, I think, the ship's doctor as well. He said when they came to wherever it was that these people were doing their worship of their gods, is on some hill or some mound or some pyramid. And he said those priests, their hair would be matted with drying blood. That they had blood literally all over them. And it was human blood. Okay? And they drank it. Why did they drink it, John? No, we were talking about this with Jerry at lunch. To get high, adrenochrome. I don't know. I just know that it made them high because of the adrenochrome in it. Adrenochrome is real. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. It's a true deal. Aldous Huxley, who wrote, what did he write? He wrote the Doors of Perception, and he also wrote like a futuristic society where everything was perfect, a Brave New World. And he was microdosing LSD and writing all these nice little books. But he was talking about taking or drinking human blood or siphoning off the adrenaline, the adrenochrome that was in that human blood. And that is a real thing. Okay? It's not just a conspiracy theory because of Trump. It is a real thing. And the Bible then tells you it's real. Blood makes you drunk, and there's a reason why God said don't drink it. It's got that person's life in it, literally their soul probably. But anyway, now, I mentioned these to you last week. So imagine on top of this pyramid here, this is in Chichen Itza. This is the Kukulkan pyramid. Kukul is like where we get birds make the sound of cuckoo, cuckoo. Okay, chickens and so on, they cuckoo, and that's where the word kukul means. And so Kukulkan would imply a feathered god of some kind. More than likely, Quetzalcoatl would be a plumed serpent or a feathered serpent. And what you have in the Bible is fiery flying serpents. Okay? But they would be honored in these high places. First of all, they would be molested. And then secondly, they would literally, while they were alive, these priests knew the art of reaching inside of them and pulling their heart out while they were still alive, looking at it. And, I mean, disgusting things, okay? And this is what I was trying to show you last week. This happens at the solstices. Here's a better picture of it. You can literally see the serpent-like thing going down to the serpent's head. There's a daylight picture of it. But the sun has to be at a certain point in the sky so that it can hit these stones here, which would create the shadow. Now, we're supposed to believe that people who barely know what fire is, okay, and use very primitive tools, we're supposed to believe that they made all the calculations necessary to quarry all of these stones perfectly to fit together to make this imagery in honor of the serpent god who would come down to them from the heavens and then would later on ascend back up into the heavens. We're supposed to believe that. And I don't believe that. I believe that this technology was known by those giants that the Bible mentions. These are the temples then of these giants. And just a lot of evil things going on here. This is in just outside of Mexico City, I believe. This in the background, I think, is the temple of the sun, and it is huge. I mean, it is massive. And again, they know that there are some things on the inside of this, but they speculate naturally that there are chambers inside of here that right now they have not discovered the way to get into them. Who knows, at some point that they might. But then they built all these other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And just in this picture, these smaller step pyramids where fiery sacrifices would take place, and all kinds of other things in order to please their gods. Does anybody recognize that one? Yeah, that's Cahokia Mound right there. Okay, that in itself is a pretty wondrous sight. I mean, you got to go get a lot of dirt to mound that up that way. It probably at one point was higher than that, and it settled down over the years. But they would perform high place rituals on the top of those mounds. And years and years ago, about a year after I started pastoring here, right around 97, 98, somewhere around in there, there was an older couple that the man, I loved him to death. He was just he kind of reminded me of Sterling. He's real soft-spoken, a very industrious man. He made a good living for himself. He was I'd say he was half-breed Indian. And his wife, I grew up under in this church. But she caused some problems in the past when I was just a young boy. And then when I would bring up things like this, she got deeply offended. And it was because I was saying something about Native Americans and the things they were doing here when the first explorers came over here. And she would get just royally ticked off at me for saying something like that, because her husband's an Indian and I've never heard anything like that. You know, and she would do that in Sunday school. Brother Mike, I've never heard anything like what you're saying. I've never heard anything like that. I just don't think that's true. Well, she finally left. But anyway, Cahokia Mound's there. All around the world, for some reason, everybody's temples are the same. This is in Cambodia. Actually, this is sort of what Kukulkan looked like, the one at Chichen Itza, the one with the serpent coming down. When they first discovered it back in the late 1800s, it was covered over with vines and dirt and everything like that. And so they've cleared it all out. But this is in Cambodia somewhere. And I mean, who knows where all of these things still lie undiscovered. Several years ago, I'd say about 20 years ago, a guy, researcher, this is the, what country is this? Bosnia. There was a Bosnian researcher that got to looking at this mountain next to this little city, this little village, and said, that looks like a pyramid. Well, he started doing some digging around the base of that, and he found stones laid out in a perfect angle going uphill. He has since found a series of tunnels that go underneath this. The picture you see on the far right, that is a computer image of what it would look like if all the vegetation was taken down. Okay? But even without that, I can clearly see three sides of a pyramid there. Okay? And like I said, with the fact that he's seen the layered stones that were quarried and put there on purpose, and the fact that he has found these tunnels, and there's an odd thing about these tunnels. And that is that the farther they go in, and they're clearing out just dirt, and stuff. The tunnels are there. They're not making the tunnels. They're just cleaning out debris and dirt and rocks and stuff like that. The farther they go, they realized that they don't need air pumped in from outside. They've got breathable air no matter how far they go, and they don't know where it's coming from. Breathable air. And he's had a lot of run-ins with the Bosnian archaeological government, whatever. Some government agency in Bosnia does not want him uncovering these things. I don't know why. But if this thing was totally uncovered, it would be the largest pyramid on the earth. And it is massive. Okay? China. What you see here is a Google image of a bunch of farmed fields. And right in the middle of it, there's this hill with four sides and a big square on the top of it. Well, the Chinese government, the communist government back years ago decided they were going to try to cover it up and make it just look like a forested place. So they hired people to go and plant trees on it. But the dummies didn't know not to plant the trees in perfect rows, because that's what they were doing. So no one believes that, they just grew there like that. Okay? So anyway, but for some reason they wanted this hidden. And I think this particular pyramid has something to do with the terracotta warriors. You know what I'm talking about? There's thousands of these statues of Chinese warriors. There was some sort of Chinese king that lived there, was buried there, and he made all of these statue warriors. Some of them have hands out like this, like they're holding spears, including horses and chariots for them. And the funny thing is, you know how, let's be honest, we look at Chinese people and say, they all look alike to me. I can't figure them out. Every one of those Chinese statues has a different face. There isn't a one that's like the other. And they're just like, this is weird, okay? A lot of things going on in this earth, okay? Now, The reason why I asked about could spirits, devils, inhabit higher places than the earth. Yes, I believe that. Okay? Now, this is two different pictures of Mars. Okay? Now, what I've just told you is a fact. Okay? So I'm not wrong about that. These are two different images that were taken of the planet Mars. Okay? Why would there be perfectly shaped, four-sided pyramids on Mars? Okay? That's the question. And who knows what the answer might be? Who knows? Okay? 1 Kings 11. Turn there. This gives us a little bit of insight concerning these high places, what they're for. By the way, 64 cents yesterday at Mobile is all it took to fill this. The Cardinals scored 6 the day before. 64 cents for 90 ounces of, people call it poison. I'm poisoning my body, I guess. Huh? Deliciousness. That's right. No calories. No calories. Nothing. Just carbonated water and some flavoring. That's it. And Splenda. Do what? Yeah. I've been a Splenda fan almost ever since it came out. I've been eating Splenda for most of my adult life, and I'm fine. I'm fine. 1 Kings 11, for it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. Okay? And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God. God allowed this for a reason, by the way. Solomon did retain his wisdom during this time. And God uses Solomon to tell all of us, especially us men, you can yield yourself over to your wives, to your women. You can, even in this country, you can go from bed to bed. You can call it your harem or whatever you want to call it. But you will never, ever find satisfaction in that. It will not happen. Lisa and I sometimes will watch Forensic Files. And I'm just amazed at the number of stupid people who kill their husband or their wife and then try to get away with it, because cops know the number one suspect in any marital death is the spouse. They did it. We just are going to figure out how. There's always a mistake that somebody makes, and it points right back to them. It may take 10 years, but eventually it'll catch up to them. It's always the spouse. Always the spouse. Anyway, Solomon's heart turned away from God. Verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh. We think Chemosh is Saturn, the planet Saturn. Okay? And I picture Saturn as like the wheels in Ezekiel 1. A wheel within a wheel. the planet, the round planet, is the one wheel, and the rings around it are the other wheel. And the planet spins and rotates in a different way than the rings around it do. So I think it's a wheel within a wheel. But anyway, verse 7, then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before. He built it in a high place. He built it in the hill that is before Jerusalem. And for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. All these were high places. You've got to build, you've got to sacrifice, you've got to worship, you've got to burn incense, you've got to say the prayers, you got to perform the rituals. They must be done in a high hill. 2 Kings 21, Manasseh did this. He was only 12 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 50 years. His mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which is evil in the sight of the Lord after the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah's father had destroyed. Manasseh would have been better off leaving them down, but he rebuilt them. That means that he either built up a big pile of dirt or maybe possibly a ziggurat of some form, or a tower of something that was a high up place that his father had taken down. And he reared up altars for Baal, made a grove, as did Ahab king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served them. There it is, the host of heaven again, because he's going up to worship them. Psalm 78, verse 56. I'm just going to read through some of this. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God, because I think Lucifer, Satan, wants to be like the Most High. His problem is he can't reach that far. And kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. I need to do a teaching or preaching series on turning back. I haven't done that in a while. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow. You know what that is. You got an arrow, and that arrow is bent. And if I aimed it right at Matthew, it's going to hit that window over there. It's a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. See how God puts them together. At the high place, you're going to have idols up there. There's going to be carved images, graven images, molten images, and so on. Here's another form of a high place. This is the temple of heaven, and it's in Beijing, China. Does any see this blue sign right here in the middle? Does anybody know what that Chinese says? That's too bad. I'd really like to know what it says. But here's what I find interesting. Somehow, some way, the Chinese got it right. How many heavens are there? The three rings, the three circles, 1, 2, 3. This is the highest heaven here. This is the space between the highest heaven, and this is the sky above us. Okay? Pretty cool. But notice that you have to go up here and then enter into a door, and somehow there's probably a set of steps or something like that that goes up to the very most high place. And this is where you would have your Buddhist monks and your incense burning and them chanting. By the way, this is interesting. The Buddhist monks have a way, not all of them can do it, but it takes them years, but they develop the ability when they are humming their mantras, they use a real low voice. And they have the ability to sing one note down here, and its overtone, Matthew, its overtone above it. They can sing two notes at the same time. Kind of like on your guitar when you just lay your finger on one string and hit another string. Well, those strings they resound to one another. And these Buddhist monks can take and make a low note and a higher note at the same time and join them together. What does that point to you? Iron and clay. The kingdom up here, the kingdom down here, and you join them together. That's what that's all about. Okay? Proverbs 8 doth not... Here's wisdom now. Wisdom stands where these high places are and says, don't be stupid. Doth not wisdom cry? And understanding put forth her voice. She standeth in the top of high places, by the way of the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. God sends forth wisdom to people, and wisdom stands in the high places and says, don't do this. Don't be a part of this. Come away from this, and I will give you blessings. Wisdom from God gives us blessings. Wisdom builds a house with 7 pillars. I think that's the Holy Spirit. Now, what's that, Chris? That's Turkana, Kenya. See that path? It's very difficult to walk up there. They have what's called the 12 stations of the cross there. These are, have you ever done that before? Prayed the 12 stations? Have you done that? Okay. You stop at each one. What do you do? Light a candle? Yeah. Huh? Oh, okay. Burning incense and so on. Okay, I got it. So, one thing you can absolutely be guaranteed of is that this statue on top of this hill in Lodwar, Kenya, right next to the airport, is used for Catholic worship and penance. They will tell their parishioners, once they have confessed their sins, then they will say to them, go to the high place. Go to meet Jesus and go by the 12 stations of the cross and pray these prayers once you get to each station. Bring money with you, and so on and so on. They'll do that there. The article written about it says the concept is that the people should have a place to come together and pray as a diocese in memory of when evangelization came here in a very informal way. Catholic's version of evangelism is not our way of evangelism. I had a Catholic priest talking to me one time. We was both at a funeral, and he said, you got all these people sending missionaries down to Central and South America. He said, we don't need missionaries down there. He said, we got churches all over the place down there. And I'm going, that's why we need missionaries down there. Anyway, the result is the story of how Jesus was detained, whipped, crucified, resurrected, and ascended to heaven, told in beautiful sculptures and inscriptions spread across Lodwar's most conspicuous hill. Apart from being a shrine, it is one of the town's key tourism attractions, receiving dozens of curious visitors every day. Entry is free. According to the priest, who is this guy, the hill on which the sanctuary sits was a favorite pastime joint for Kenya's founding president, Jomo Kenyatta, during his detention in Lodwar in the 1950s. Let me skip this paragraph. On its gate is the term Porta Coeli, means the gate to heaven. That's the gate to heaven. Okay? The climb up is punishing. But Father Akimana says it is reliving or relieving if you are a Christian, knowing that you are reliving the story that is the foundation of your faith. But the whole point is, it's to make you suffer the way Jesus suffered, and that way, because you are now suffering, you are relieving yourself of your own sins. That's the whole point of it right there. And I want to take it down. The children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith the Lord. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it. And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom. The word Gehenna, which is a Hebrew word for hell, is named after the valley of Hinnom. Apparently they burnt things they didn't want anymore. To burn their sons and their daughters in the fire. That's the valley of Hinnom, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall be no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. For they shall bury in Tophet till there be no place. All right. Any questions tonight? Got a high place? Got what a high place is? If you want, well, I'll pray about it. I'll pray about what I think this really is getting to. Okay, I'll pray about it and we'll see. All right, let's stand to our feet. Yes, Penelope. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, this was modeled after that. That's what I read. Was after the Catholics in Brazil put theirs up, they said, "Well, we want one too," and that's what they did. But that's a high place. There's one down in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Because you remember that. We've been there before. The people who made the Passion Play, they were Roman Catholic, a very rich couple. I don't think they had any children. So they had millions of dollars, and they built this Passion Play, and then they built this Christ of the Ozarks. And it's basically like the same pattern here. It's, out like this. And I used to think, oh, this is really cool, let's pray. And no! It's a high place. It's on top of a big hill just outside of Eureka Springs, and it's a high place. There's probably these things all over the world. Do what? Yeah? That's just a cross. Crosses are just crosses. Crosses are like, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. If they have nobody on them, they're safe. Okay? It's just a cross. If crosses were evil, then we would never have to learn how to add. Some of you will get that later.